Nearly 50 years after his assassination, President John F. Kennedy still captures the imagination of the American public. Historian and best-selling Kennedy biographer Robert Dallek explores JFK's time in office in Camelot's court inside the Kennedy White House. Welcome.
Nice to be here.
It's an interesting story, the men who surrounded the president. And what you come out with is an impression that he selected the best and the brightest, to use David Halberstam's term. Yet at the same time, he began to doubt their recommendations and trusted his own instincts and principles.
Yeah. You know, Charlie, he learned on the job. He went through so many stumbles and difficulties, especially the Bay of Pigs in April '61. And then he went off to France, where he met Charles de Gaulle. And de Gaulle let him stand next to him in front of the cameras, and it instantly repaired his standing, so to speak, because of the failure in Cuba. But de Gaulle told him, you have to make up your own mind. Listen to advisors, get all the advice you can, but at the end of the day, you're the responsible party. And Kennedy remembered what Harry Truman said, the buck stops here. And so he learned that, and he took that to heart. And the most striking example of it was in the struggles he had with his Joint Chiefs of Staff. Repeatedly, they wanted to talk about using nuclear weapons, and he was so determined to avoid that. You know, he said to somebody, I'd rather my kids be red than dead. He never could have said that in
You
public.
saw all that in the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Right.
I was fascinated by what you wrote about his relationship with his brother Bobby, because I just assumed that they had always been very tight, but that certainly was not the case.
No, that was another learning curve for him. Bobby and he went along on a trip to Asia when Jack was in the Congress, and he learned to like Bobby, and he found him witty, charming, and then he trusted him. And when he appointed him Attorney General, he said, because people said, this will be nepotism. You're going to be criticized for doing this. And he said, listen, I need somebody I can put my feet up with and talk to. The thing that we historians will never have are all those conversations they had behind the scenes. They spoke, and the only way we know some of what they talked about was to see Bobby in action at some of those meetings.
He was tough, Bobby Kennedy.
He was tough.
Because the Cuban Missile Crisis were recorded, and we heard that.
Exactly. But he was reflecting Jack's opinions.
We are about to mark 50 years since the assassination of JFK. This is your second book on him. You wrote An Unfinished Life, John F. Kennedy. What did you learn in this book? Why did you? What struck your curiosity that you wanted to know more about?
You know, Nora, when I saw polls that said John Kennedy has an 85% approval rating, what puzzled me was why does he continue to have this phenomenal hold on the public?
This fascination.
The assassination's important, but it's not only the assassination. You know, William.
Oh, yeah, I said fascination.
Oh,
with him.
fascination.
Yeah, why this fascination? Yeah.
But the assassination, William McKinley was assassinated in 1901. Popular president at the time, 50 years later, nobody remembered who he was. But Kennedy, we remember. Part of it is television, because he's captured so charming, witty, intelligent.
And very good looking, too.
And very good looking.
That really,
very good looking.
That plays into it, don't you think?
Without question, tall, handsome.
Yeah.
But it's also the fact that people have been so disappointed in the other presidents. You see, alongside of Johnson in Vietnam and Jimmy Carter.
But it was a lot of the same advisors on Johnson in Vietnam.
They were.
The same advisors?
But on Vietnam, I don't think Kennedy ever would have done what Johnson did.
How do you know that? I mean, which is an interesting historical question, because he never said
it. It is, right. Well, Charlie, we'll never know for sure what he would have done, but there's lots of evidence that he was terribly skeptical about putting ground forces into Vietnam. He didn't want to lose Vietnam, but he was so reluctant. He was told by George Ball, under Secretary of State, you put 300,000 men into those jungles, you'll never hear from them again. See, he took that seriously. What he would have done, we'll never know.
What's interesting, go ahead and I'll take
Well, you described him as an idealist without illusions.
Yep.
What does that mean to you?
I think what it means is that he had high standards. He reached for a vision of a greater America, a better America, but he thought of himself as a realist. And whether it was the advisors or foreign adversaries that he had to deal with, he was tough-minded.
Yeah. This book is also about people like Kennedy O'Donnell there and Pierre Salinger and others who were there simply as part of his internal staff, who'd come from the campaign and who, as in all presidencies, become part of the inner core at a White House.
Right. But on the other hand, did they know him well? You know, he was like Franklin Roosevelt and all really effective presidents. They hold their cards close to their chest. Wow. They don't show exactly what they think. The only one who knew probably was Bobby. And that testimony is lost to historians as well.
Robert Dallek, great to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Camelot's Court is on sale now.